everyone, and welcome to DevToberFest 2025. This is ABAP Mondays, and this is a week one. And we have three exciting sessions covering the latest updates of ABAP. I'm Sheena, a developer advocate, and I'll be the host for today's first session. Before we start, a quick reminder to our participants about the DevToberFest group in SAP community, where you can join to know more about the tutorials and fun activities for the DevToberFest contest. The grand prize is an all expense paid trip to one of the SAP Ticket Tour stops in 2026. We will also be sharing a validation tutorial by the end of today, covering questions from all the three sessions of today. So stay tuned for further updates. The first session for today is Clean Core Extensibility Strategy, powered by ABAP Cloud and Generative AI, presented by Fabian Feller, who is a product management lead of ABAP Cloud Core. So without further delay, let me welcome Fabian to DevToberFest. And now over to you, Fabian.
All right, thank you very much, Ina, for that great handover. Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Good day, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Fabian Feller. I am the product management lead for the ABAP Cloud Core programming model. And if you think that this was one of the most boring sentences you're gonna hear this day, then you're probably true. So just give me a thumbs up within the chat so I know that you are there. In the meantime, I'm very delighted really to kick off DevToberfest 2025. And we are just starting right here, right where the magic happens with ABAP. So make sure to grab a cup of coffee with your favorite cup. And yeah, join me also in exploring how ABAP Cloud and Generative AI empowers you to support your clean core extensibility strategy. Let me give you a short overview what we are going to talk today, right? So I'd like to talk with you about ABAP Cloud, of course, and also those innovations which we are going to deliver here. So firsthand, we will definitely give you an update on the clean core strategy. So what can you do also within your systems to make sure that you can fulfill a clean core, and that all with ABAP Cloud. We will have a glimpse view into AI, so talking about what do we do within our cloud to support you in fulfilling your business AI scenarios, but also what is around the corner with regards to developer AI. And last but not least, I will also have you look into my book, so give a glimpse view into the roadmap and check out what is happening in our cloud within the next few months. So let me directly start with our cloud. And for those of you who are new there, they might think, yeah, ABAP is dead. At least one could think of that if you think about paradigms like cloud native, generative AI, event-driven architecture, and software paradigms like that. But in reality, is with our cloud, we have established cloud native development model, which also allows you to build business applications in the cloud. And this is what also the community tells us. So in the last 2024 developer insights, we also see that 85% of our communities working in the SAP community, in the SAP ecosystem, are working with ABAP. So one could say ABAP is not only a programming language, it's a kind of SAP's developers' unavoidable destiny, right? So whenever you want to work with SAP, one should really get familiar with ABAP. And you might also think about what does the other 15% do not working with ABAP? And honestly, I think they are currently also applying for non-SAP related jobs, right? So let me give you also a glimpse what I mean with ABAP Cloud, right? What is the difference to ABAP, and what is maybe also to bring it also into set with cloud native architecture, right? So when talking about ABAP Cloud, we need to differentiate two major things. And the first thing is the development model itself, right? So the way how you as a developer build a business application. And the thing is, building a big business application for about 20 years looked very different like it needs to be done today. right? This is the thing because we, of course, would like to run those business applications in a cloud native environment, meaning that we need to prepare for example, react on a dynamic scaling of application servers and stuff like that. And this means that with a cloud native development model, you need to change the way how you build that business application. With ABAP Cloud, we are on one hand side focusing on upgrade stability. So means that you in ABAP Cloud can only consume things and APIs, extension points, which we as SAP are definitely keeping stable, right? Meaning that you can rely on that and that you can then also upgrade your systems in a high frequency so that you can also benefit from a fast innovation cycle. And on the other hand side, we have a programming model in place, which is optimized for cloud operation models. So meaning a RESTful application programming model, as well as also making sure that you do not consume features within classic ABAP, which could harm your operations or cloud operations. So one good example is, for example, talking about accessing the file system, right? Open data set, some of you may remember that command within ABAP. This thing, it might be absolutely valid in an on-premise environment, but when talking about cloud, it is not good to access the file system because those application servers containing the file system are shut down and built up frequently because we need to react on user scaling things. And this is why also such a command is not supported in the cloud or our cloud development model, for instance, right? There are alternatives in place, right? But the way how you think or how you need to develop your business application is changing, right? The other part is beside of the development model, so the way how you build an application is how you deploy and where you run that application. Of course, also there we have a solution in place. It's called Steampunk, so the SAP BTP ABAP environment. So you can host your ABAP system within the business technology platform. And there you can benefit from all those steampunk goodies, I would call it, right? Like scalability, resilience, hibernation, so you can shut off your system outside your development operation windows, and all those operations are managed by SAP. Right? And today I would like to talk with you also about the first point. So how does the development model look like and what is coming, right? And the great thing is to make use of that development model, you do not need to be in a cloud native environment because the development model itself, so the way how you can build applications, is available in the most relevant products which we have. So talking about SAP S/4HANA on-prem, private cloud, public cloud, as well as, of course, Steampunk. All right. So when talking about our cloud, what is actually in and what are we focusing also from a strategy point of view? So with our cloud, we are aiming really for scenarios which you can implement. So we optimize our development model for building transactional business application, embedded analytical applications, and also integration services, which are of course getting more and more relevant, especially talking about business data cloud, so BDC, talking about integration with other BTP applications based also on other stacks, and also, of course, is for integrations. This is the development point or side of the house, right? So whatever you need to build a dedicated scenario. On the other side, when making use of our cloud, we are also delivering a big bunch of additional goodies like tools. So the ABAP development tools in Eclipse is our primary tool to build ABAP applications. We're talking about lifecycle management. So ABAP Git is also in place. We have building quality, so for those partners under you, which are also building applications, maybe on the business technology platform, shipping that to customers, and also expecting customers to extend those things again. We, for example, also delivering built-in extensibility capabilities, which allows also you as a partner to make your things extensible in a cloud-native way. A big bunch, of course, of real services, talking about output management, for instance, talking about nodes, attachment handling. So a lot of things are also just around the corner here. And last but not least, also generative AI functionalities. And what I mean with that will also come into a second. But first things first. So where can you also locate yourself, right? So or find yourself within the overall story. So some of you might still be with the ECC landscape on the left-hand side, right? Having a classical ERP system in place. Some of you might be in the middle of the transition to the SAP S/4HANA solution, right? Via the RISE program, or some of you might already be there and settle down and building new innovative applications. And what is really important for you to understand is in each and every product, talking about SAP S/4HANA, on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, and also in the BTP ABAP environment, you are benefiting from one and only innovation code line. So we have one common ABAP innovation code line, and all products are delivered with the same innovations. However, the frequency in which you as a customer receiving those innovations might differ from product to product. So talking about the on-prem and private cloud environment, here we usually have upgrades each and every 2 years, right? However, talking about the SAP BTP ABAP environment, so codename Steampunk, you're benefiting from quarterly releases. So there you have the highest innovation cycle, you have the highest frequency in getting those innovations, and you also can react in a high frequent range also on those market shifts, for example, right? With regards to technology innovations. Let's put that also in a kind of bigger picture. So when building applications or extensions with ABAP, one usually also asks, so should I build it now side by side on the SAP BTP ABAP environment? And yes, you can do that, right? So this is the right-hand side, especially in the pro code environments, talking about really doing some things in in your development tools. Not relying on key user tools, you can make use of the business technology platform. And there you can build your applications either with ABAP Cloud, right, by using Steampunk, or you could also build those side-by-side extensions with CAP, right, using JavaScript or Java, for example, right? And there definitely you have the choice, right? What you can do when talking about building extensions in your S/4HANA system. So really talking about building extensions in your core system, ABAP is the way to go, right? And there we, on one hand side, provide you Procode tools, so building on-stack extensions directly within your system, also in the public cloud environment. And in addition, if you do not have a skilled IT department, which says that you have a lot of developers, but you would like to leverage those extension capabilities in a more abstract way, we also provide key user tools, which allows you to define straightforward extension scenarios and most common extension scenarios to extend your business applications like custom fields, custom logic, custom CDS use. And this can be done within key user tools without a need to implement something in the development tools. All right, but we're now talking also about those extensions, right? So your custom extensions, the question is also, what can you do to keep your core clean? And how do we from SAP support you in that and also support you with ABAP Cloud in that story? And some of you might still remember the 3-tier extensibility model because keeping the core clean is nothing new, right? It's already there for several years. And some years back, we have introduced the 3-tier extensibility model for also classifying the way how you can build applications. And it was pretty clear, right? By using the tier one, using either ABAP Cloud within the system or building a side-by-side extensions on the business technology platform, this was considered as clean. And when you would like to web and release objects which are classical but not released to our cloud, then you needed to make use of the tier 2 layer, building wrappers around those classic functionality. And there it really depended on what you're actually using, right? So there the guidance was not pretty clear if you're clean or if you're not clean with that. And I would say the most critical thing was to consider each and everything written in tier 3, so making use of your classical extensions, to be considered as not clean, right? And we just have recently changed that model. So we have transformed that model in a multi-level model. So it's called the Clean Core Extensibility model, which now allows you also as a customer to better prioritize on your efforts, right? Where do you need to plan refactoring efforts? And what can you do also to make sure that you can still run system upgrades frequently without renovating each and every business application in your solution or in your custom code base. Um, Therefore, we have introduced 3 different levels, and the first level is pretty the same, right? So level A, and it still tells you that if you build your extensions either on stack with ABAP Cloud or side by side on the sub business technology platform, you're considered as clean, right? So this is the highest level of clean core, and you're definitely can make use of that, and you should also make use of that whenever you build new applications, right? Directly building them in a cloud native architecture. However, there might also be a lot of functionalities where you're used to APIs which are there in the ABAP environment for about, I don't know, 20 years, and where you also see as a customer, SAP will never change those signatures of those APIs. And also we from SAP do not have the intention to change something on that. And therefore, we decided also to nominate some classic APIs where we say, well, they are not cloud native and about cloud-based programming model. They should not be used, but they are good enough to consider that as a clean core because those APIs are stable, things are working fine. And with that, also the level B was introduced, representing a clean core. Um, what is not clean or conditional clean? Maybe let me also split it up to the different APIs you're using and also then assigning those different levels to you when talking about making use of each and every SAP internal object. Of course, those things are not APIs, meaning that you might use things or functionalities which might change in a high frequent way, also disrupting your system upgrades. And there, the thing is, we of course now could say each and everything is not clean. However, the reality is that also in the most customer code bases, we see a high adoption of such dependencies. Therefore, we decided also to introduce level C as a kind of conditional clean, meaning you are only not clean if the API or the object you are using in there also changed in an incompatible way for you, right? And for that, we also have a changelog in place, which gives you an overview of all those objects which we are delivering from one private cloud or on-prem release to the next one, which are changing. So you can be prepared and also applying that to your system to check what do you need to do to be prepared for one of the next system upgrades. And last but not least, there is level D. This is definitely not considered as clean core because you as a customer may use SAP objects which are just not recommended, which really can harm your business processes, and therefore we also introduced a classification representing such not recommended SAP objects. And if you would like to check out those things into detail and also have a detailed view on which tools you can leverage to making use of the Clean Core Extensibility model, I really recommend you the session in the afternoon held by Olga and Thomas, also deep diving into the Clean Core Extensibility model and also having a quick view on the ATC checks and everything in place. All right. Good. With that, let's come to the next topic. And I would like to give you a glimpse view also on developer AI in our cloud. And when talking about developer AI, we have three major scenarios in our cloud where we are focusing on, right? So one is the empower use case, meaning that we are building tools and functionality with that you can make or realize your business AI scenarios. And one example is the ABAP AI SDK. We will come to that in a second. The second one is the accelerate use case. So we are providing you development tools which really speed up your efficiency. For example, with tool for developers, also in assisting you to be more efficient in building ABAP based applications, and also to make it easier also for you, for example, for the custom code migration story. And last but not least, we are also talking about, when talking about custom code migration, about the transform use case, meaning we are building tools and functionalities which allows you also to overcome the ECC to SAP S/4HANA migration. So the ECC to S/4 migration, but also later on the classic to ABAP Cloud migration story, which you of course need to renovate your business functionalities. And also there we have a session in the afternoon held by Yasmin and Sebastian. And I really recommend you also to check out that session if you would like to deep dive into those use cases in detail and check also out what comes there next. But one thing I would like to make you aware of, also already again in that session, is the following thing. ABAP AI, more sexy, free of charge, and soon also in your neighborhood. And yes, so first of all, we extended the free usage of ABAP AI. So it was extended until September next year. So you have still a full year of free usage for ABAP AI functionalities, right? So especially talking about tool for developers. And soon also in your neighborhood, yes, ABAP AI, the tool for developers, will also be provided within lower releases of the private cloud edition. And if you are interested in getting some more details on that announcement, feel free to check out that blog post by Alexander Rother. And yeah, the last thing, more sexy. What do I mean with more sexy? And maybe let me also explain or tell you a short story on that, right? So you may think about back to that point in time where you had your very first developer experience, right? And I'm not talking about the first professional project or something like that. I'm really talking about that very first point in time where you did some programming experience. Write in the chat what it was. I would be very curious to read about that. For me, I was about 14 when we learned how to make use of Windows batch files, right? So shutting down the PC, sending things around, and looking to your student colleagues and seeing that they have no clue what we have done there. And the great thing is, so it was a kind of preschool hacking thing, right? But the great thing is, that story is, we had no clue what we were actually doing. And we also not started to read a ton of documentation somewhere. We just did it by learning by doing. So we just did things and we realized, oh, well, maybe we screwed up our system or something like that, right? And this is how you learn things. You learn things by doing stuff and not reading tons of documentation. And what I really would like to make you aware of is a new feature which is also going to be delivered with the tool for developers. And this is our ABAP Cloud development partner, your chat with documentation. And the same, like you need to learn things on doing, is also for ABAP developers. Learning the new development model could be in some point, in some points very cumbersome, difficult to understand. And therefore, I'd really like to give you also a kind of glimpse into how this chat with documentation can assist you really in your development process. And therefore, we are also switching into that system. And what you see on the right-hand side is, for example, the dual chat. And the great thing is what you can do is, oh, that's the one thing. Give a second. What you, for example, can ask is, uh, what do I need to do to display a UI field in my Fiori application in a large input field? Right, so really getting a large input field out of that. Who knows the answer? Write in the chat. I would be interested who of you knows that answer. And so what you now can do is you simply can ask your documentation chat, and he really also collects the documentation behind the scenes and assembling an answer which really assists you also in your development process. And if we did everything correct, yeah, we did it. So he will tell you that you need to use the annotation UI multiline in your CDS view. So for those of you who never can remember any UI annotation, this tool is really the thing to use. And the great thing is also it gives you some citation, meaning that you can be sure that this tool is not hallucinating, but really gives you and points you also to the part of the documentation where you can find this information, right? And with that, you can really speed up your development process, especially in those areas where you're not quite that sure yet, and where you need some more guidance, well, really to get used to the new development model. All right. So having said that, let me also continue with the presentation. And yeah, talking about business AI. And I know we are all developers, right? And we love to build things which empowers ourselves, right? So writing scripts for about hours and hours just to save at the end of the day 10 minutes of time. And now we all went there, we all did that. But actually, we as developers, especially if you build business applications, we need to make sure that we build business applications which are not for us, but for our end users, for our business user, and that we build applications which empowers our business users to be more efficient. And this means when talking about AI, we cannot only talk about developer AI, we also need to talk about business AI. And if you would like to talk about business AI, we also need to talk about how does this fit in our current programming model, in the way how we build applications. And there, I would like to give you also an overview what is on our roadmap there. And talking about business AI, we have major things which are delivered or which are in the middle of the delivery, and we have things which are planned. And what I also told you before, right? So the empower use case to build functionalities which allows you as a developer to be more to build more efficient business applications. And the first thing which we have delivered there is the ABAP AI SDK. So with the ABAP AI SDK, you can directly access large language models within your ABAP code base. So we have ABAP-based APIs which you can access within your system. And we also now support, for example, image upload, file upload. So you can also make use of those file interpretations. You can make use of function calling, always depending on the model behind it, right? But those APIs are there, and you can already start to implement such use cases already today. But we also know that just providing those tools, those APIs, are not enough to really make good programming model, right? And to really make things convenient to use. And especially when talking about AI, one major thing which we need to keep in our mind when building such AI functionalities as a developer, we need to keep the human in the loop, at least in certain points of time. Therefore, we also started to build the first integration within our programming model to make sure that you can incorporate AI functionalities within your business application and at the same time keeping the human in the loop. This is what we did with the Fiori input assistants. which is powered by a web recommendation feature. And I'd also like to show you that shortly in the system. Therefore, I'm just closing the tool view. Do not need that right now. And I'm just previewing my patient application. And what I did there, I built a very small Fiori application for emergency room maintenance, right? Or, I mean, sure, nobody would build a kind of emergency room handling and handling of patients with a Fiori app, but anyway, for the sake of a demo, let's do it like that, right? And what one could do is, for example, just to get you an understanding, is creating such a patient. So you need to maintain a birth date of that patient, a last name like Schmidt, Michael. You also need to maintain, for example, a gender, right? The patient ID. And what you also would do is to maintain a symptom. So somebody's coming into the emergency room and you're just writing those down those symptoms, also to decide what you need to do later on. And something could be like pain in the chest and high blood pressure. And what now also some business user would need to do, also criticality needs to assign to that thing, right? So criticality, yeah, it could be an emergency diagnosis. So one would also search for maybe a heart stroke or something like that, or heart attack. So let's search for heart. You do not find anything, so you need to go to the Fiori, maybe contains heart. Again, you're searching for heart. You, of course, can also make use of that star search. You're finding heart attack and you're creating that data record. All right, I think we can do that better, right? So let's switch back to the system, right? Having a look into our behavior definition, and there I've already commented out a small feature called use recommendations. And I simply turn that on. We will have a look into the detailed implementation later on, but first of all, I would show you now how the flow, the user flow looks like now, right? Again, we are kind of also maintaining a birth date for the user, a gender. So we are doing pretty the same things, right? Schmidt, Michael, patient ID 2. Also there we again telling something like pain in the chest and high blood pressure. What we now expect is maybe, let me check in the back end, the breakpoint should come up, also giving you an overview of the recommendations fired with that. Oh, I need to refresh that UI. Sorry for that. I forget to refresh the actual UI. And here again, the criticality in the diagnosis is then proposed by the system. So you do not need to refresh the UI, but I just did some coding changes in the backend, which of course then needs to invoke the metadata document. And the system automatically proposes you the content there, right? So content for certain fields like criticality in our diagnosis. So you could now also, keeping the human in the loop, override that thing, or you can also simply accept those values, say, okay, I accept that it's a emergency in a heart attack, and go for it, right? And this is what I mean with making sure that our business user can be more efficient, but keeping them at the same time in the loop, so they have the possibility also to review those things which were proposed by an AI. And let us also have a glimpse view into the implementation. So what you can do with 2602 and ongoing is in ABAP Cloud, you can define a recommendation function within your behavior definition, right, within your business object. And you can also classify which fields can be used for recommending things, or for which fields a recommendation should be applied. For that thing, we made use of the diagnosis and criticality. And at the same time, you're within your ABAP implementation, you can also implement an implementation exit like the recommendation function. And the great thing is you're absolutely free what you would like to use there. So you could, of course, make use of access to a large language model. This is, by the way, that thing what we are doing here. right? So here we have, for example, also maybe the second one with the recommend diagnosis. We are reading all the available diagnoses within our system. So we are grounding the prompt to the available set of data. So it's kind of master data search. And we are putting that into the prompt with the essential data, right? For example, with the symptom, and let the LLM decide what is happening there. This especially works very well for searching on master data, also talking about, for example, proposing categories or something like that out of a free text. So you can already make use of that. But where LLMs are not that good is working on business data, right? So doing forecast analysis and calculating things. And there we see that for certain scenarios, still classic machine learning algorithms are in place. And what you, for example, can also leverage in the private cloud edition of S4HANA is the data attribute recommendation service, allowing you also to build up a data model in behind the scenes, right? And also to train that data on your business data within your system. Then also making sure that you can access that data attribute recommendation service within the recommendation function, and then proposing meaningful end user values for your application. So there are different ways how you can implement that thing, and I just showed you the large language model way. All right, so let's jump back to the presentation. And I'd like to give you also a glimpse with regards to business AI to the last point, model-driven tool integration for web. This is something which we are currently working on, right? So making sure that not only you need to integrate AI in certain points of your business application, but to allow you as a business application developer that your functionalities which you have built and also built in the past, that they can be exposed to agentic runtimes like Tool, that they can be used out of the box without doing too much additional efforts for you as an application developer here. And this is something where we are currently investigating and also planning to deliver something. So talking about future plans, we are also talking about the ABAP Cloud roadmap. So also give me a little bit of time to give you an overview of the roadmap, what we are delivering, what we plan to deliver, and with 2511, it's just around the corner, right? We also deliver the analytical table for web, so it allows you also to have some grouping capabilities within your business object, and also to make sure that you can aggregate data within your transactional application. And if you're eager to have a look into the system and also to get a demo on that, feel free also to check out the Devtoberfest session for What's New in Web, done by Andre Fischer. He will also give you a glimpse into those web-specific topics. The recommendation topic, which just showed you, will be deployed with 2602 in your customer system, especially when talking about public cloud and Steampunk. And for private cloud edition, a first version is already available also with 2025 in our language version standard. And what we are also focusing on is making sure that our whole business application can be modeled with a CDS only data modeling. And therefore, we are also supporting CDS table entities as a graph persistency within your web business application soon. This is something which will then come later in a later point of time. When talking about boost your efficiency, so what can you do, what do we deliver also to boost your efficiency as an application developer? So with 2511, the doc chat will be available to you. So really recommend you that tool. I'm using that by myself heavily, and really also invite you to try it out and to let us know some feedback on that. With 2602, we plan to deliver the analytical model generation, so which allows you also to generate embedded analytical capabilities out of your transactional business application, right? So to really get insights within your system. And last but not least, later we also plan to deliver a Fiori support tool, and I would like to briefly highlight that one. So some of you might know that feeling while being in your Fiori UI, not knowing why a certain field is not displayed there, why the column looks like it is, why certain actions might not do or do the thing you want them to do, right? And for for a development model which is very declarative and also doing a lot of magic in the background, which is of course very convenient for the user, it can be at the same time kind of very difficult when it comes to error analysis. And for that, we're also going to deliver a tool which helps you really to top down from your business application into your artifacts to simplify the error analysis if something does not work out like you expected in your business application. All right. Um, that's what I have on the roadmap. What else? What can I recommend you also for the subsequent session? So make sure definitely if you would like to hear more about ABAP Cloud, check out all those other related sessions at the Oktoberfest 2025, which is now taking place for the next 4 weeks. And also make sure to check out all those sessions at TechEd, right, taking place in Berlin, but also in Louisville in Kentucky, right? So the ASAC Tech Connect. Check out the sessions there and yeah, register if not done yet for ticket for TechEd. With that, I'm also coming to the end. So thank you very much for your attendance. I hope I could get you a brief understanding of what we are doing with ABAP Cloud. And I really encourage you also to check out now the subsequent sessions. And I would also like to hand over back to Sheena for doing some Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabian. That was a wonderful session, especially the recommendation demo was very interesting. Thank you. We have some questions in the chat. If you would like to answer them, Fabian, we can do it for the next 10 minutes. And in case anyone has any questions, you can also keep posting them so that Fabian and the other experts in the call, Andrea and Karim, can answer them.
Yeah, sure. Mhm. So should I go through the chat or do you like to?
Uh, yeah, I can read out the questions in case you're not
That would
able
be
to.
great, yeah.
Yeah. So one question is regarding does ISLM support agent?
Well, not now. With regards to ISLM, we are investigating, right? How also to make sure that agents or agentic runtimes can be consumed, right? Or business functionalities can be consumed by agentic runtimes. This is also what I mentioned with those web model-driven tool integrations, because tool is a kind of agentic runtime. When talking about ESLM agentic runtimes, they are feel free also to check out the public roadmap of ISLM. So we do not have something on the current release which is available currently. Yeah.
Right. And the next question is, do we have a roadmap for migrating web intro components to full Fiori apps? Currently, the PPM project object remains in web intro and is merely wrapped in a Fiori UI, preventing key user extensibility.
Yeah, very good question. So talking about custom code migration, this is of course one of our major investments areas, right, where we are looking into detail how can we assist our customer base also to make sure to migrate their classic extensions to a more our cloud like development model. We are not only focusing on web info, we are, I would say, also covering the whole broad scope which is there, right? To make sure to address also the broad audience and the broad customer base which we have in ABAP, right? So yes, we are on that topic.
Okay. So adopting clean core in S/4HANA 2022 is very cumbersome. No support for ATC. There is no way to check if your object is A, B, C, D.
Exactly. When talking about S/4HANA 2022 and ATC, definitely feel free also to check out this session in the afternoon, right? Conducted by Olga and Thomas. They will give you a glimpse also how you can leverage ATC for supporting you there. Also, how the ATC checks will change also to guide you with regards to the A, B, C, D levels, right? So there's also things to come.
And the next question is there a way to migrate data models, domains, and structures from S/4HANA on-prem to SAP BTP ABAP? Customer often finds it difficult to recreate hundreds of development objects in ABAP Cloud.
Yeah, that's a good thing when talking about data models, domains, and structures. So talking also about DDIC-related objects, at least for those objects which you can maintain within the ABAP development tools, you can nearly migrate them one-to-one because also in the sub BDP ABAP environment, we support the creation, for example, of DDIC-based database tables, DDIC structures, domains, data elements. What we do not support is the creation of classical views because we have CDS in place, right? And there, yes, it might get kind of challenging also to translate those things. But one important thing to understand is when doing migrations, we are not only talking about migrations of certain artifacts, right? And saying, okay, what is the successor of that and that artifact? Because when migrating a business application to ABAP Cloud or the sub BDP ABAP environment, you also need to change the way how the business application was implemented. Why the paradigms are quite different. So it just cannot be done that you take your business application like it was like it was written 40 years ago and just to migrate some artifacts within that business application and then put it to the cloud environment and hope that everything runs smooth, right? This will not work out. So when talking about migration and bringing things into the cloud and renovating applications, one really need also to consider those paradigm shifts which happens with cloud native architecture. So this is very important to understand, right? So it's not about migrating certain development objects, but really to consider your business application as one big thing where you need to think about which qualities do you want to preserve in a cloud environment and what are maybe functionalities which you need to keep on-prem or maybe also in a kind of classic code base, and where also do you see some chances to improve the efficiency of your business application, also to get a kind of competitive advantage against your competitors out there in the market. Yeah.
So the next question is, what's the roadmap for using ABAP AI for on-premise S/4HANA 2023 version for customers?
Exactly. So talking about, for example, the Empower use case, so the ABAP AI SDK, this will also be available for on-prem, right? Oh, this is already available for on-prem, I think, until down to 2021. Also with regards to those business AI scenarios, right, integration into that programming model, those also are also functionalities which we are going to deliver with on-prem. What will not be available with on-prem is, for example, tool for developers, right, as a kind of side-by-side tool to assist you in your development experience. This is supported for our public cloud release, so S/4HANA Public Cloud, for the S/4HANA Private Cloud, as well as sub BTP environment.
Okay, I missed out a question in between. Is there a session that deep dives into the new clean code model with the A, B, C, and D
Yeah, exactly.
levels?
So 1 o'clock in the afternoon, conducted by Thomas and Olga. So 1 o'clock afternoon European time, right? And yeah, exactly. So there is a deep dive session also to show you some tools and ATC tools on that. So check that out. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, our company is moving S/4HANA Private Cloud from ECC. Is the RAP framework available along with Joule?
What was the release? Sorry.
There is no mention about that, Fabian.
Okay, but they're moving to private cloud in general. So yes, web framework is available there. And we're talking about private cloud, also Joule is there if you target 2025 and soon also lower releases, right?
Okay. Okay. So the next question is, what is the roadmap for iDocs in ABAP Cloud?
Well, that's a kind of unspecific question, right? So the general, so IDOC so maybe we should double check on that question. So what exactly is mean or expected here from the person? So feel free also to reach out to me via mail, right? With
Yeah.
regards to that.
Okay, I think we can take up one or two questions more. Are there any plans to release Joule add-on on Eclipse, which can be used for lower version of S/4HANA and on-premise systems?
Exactly. So this is also what I mentioned within that presentation, right? Joule for developers will also be available for lower versions of S/4HANA Private Cloud. We are about to deliver here something within the next year. And yeah, stay tuned for that and also stay tuned for some updates on that.
All right. Okay, looks like there is another question on iDoc. Maybe I can just read it out, but maybe if it's not specific, we can take up later as well. Is iDoc still clean core and still supported?
Yeah, so IDOC is also considered as clean core. Maybe what I forget to mention, but surely this will also be mentioned within the presentation later that day, is there is also a node available, a SAP node, which also deep dives into all those certain technical aspects of ABAP, right? With all those frameworks which we have, with all those object types which we have, with those functionalities which we have, where you can also read out if or in which level of this clean core extensibility. So actually, you need to sort in a certain point of technology, right?
All right. Thank you, Fabian. I think we have covered all the questions in the chat. And in case you're watching the replay, you can still post questions and we try our best to answer it as soon as possible. And just a note, the presentation used by Fabian will be available in the description box of this session, so do check it out. And just to remind again, we will be updating the validation tutorials for the week one by the end of the day, and you can find the link in the description box of all the sessions that happens today. And yeah, so stay tuned for more updates. And thanks again, Fabian, for this wonderful session. And thanks everyone for joining, and see you all in the next session. Thank you. Have a
Thank you
good
very
day.
much. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Okay, thanks, Fabian. So the streaming is now